Hey guys, in today's video I'm going to be reviewing some brushes sent to me by Transon. First off, I wanted to say that these brushes were sent to me, but I have not accepted any payment to talk about these. They were just like, yo, you want to try these out? And I said yes because I like finding new, pretty inexpensive art supplies to share with you guys, to try out for you and to see if they're worth your money. And so I was sent 3 packs of brushes. They're basically all detail brushes. 2 sets are both basically called miniature detail artist brushes, and 1 set is a Weasel hair detail brush set. I'm going to start talking about the Weasel hair brushes. These are 7 brushes for $11.15, which adds up to $1.60 per brush. So the 3 things about these brushes that are very noteworthy are 1, they're detail brushes, 2, they're made from natural weasel hair, and 3, they're ergonomic with their grip, which is kind of triangular, and it's supposed to help you when you're holding it to, hold it better. The second set that I received was a miniature detail artist brushes, that's basically what it's called, and this came with 7 brushes for $7.89, which averages to $1.13 per brush. These ones were made of synthetic fibers with a birchwood handle, and they are all round detail brushes, which they don't exactly come to a sharp point, but they just hold like one steady line. And then the last brush set that I received is also called a miniature detail brush set. This came with 9 brushes for $8.99, so it's $1 per brush. And these are also synthetic. They are nylon brushes with a wooden and UV painted handle, and these do come to a sharp point. So I think I'm just going to give you my thoughts about these brushes. The first thing is that these all came safely packaged with a little plastic brush tip protectors, and each of the sets came with an instruction manual on how to clean these before use and how to take care of the brushes. So one thing that I really noticed about these brushes is that they have a lot of glue in them. Usually brushes, when you buy them, they're going to be sort of stiff at the end so they can hold their shape and that they don't get ruined in transit. And all brushes will have glue or some sort of starch in the tip that you have to wash out and rinse out, but these all had so much glue in them. And it's not a bad thing, obviously, you just wash it out. It was just something to note, because usually when I wash out a brush that I buy from the store, it's not exactly like a lot of glue, but these were kind of slimy. That's how much there was. But anyway, so one negative of these brushes, which is not really a big deal, so the caps are supposed to keep all the bristles straight and together and nice and even, but 2 of the brushes came with like one of the bristles bent backwards all the way, which is not a big deal. I just took a scissor and I cut those bristles off. So personally it didn't bother me, just something to be aware of if you get these brushes. Now these are pretty inexpensive brushes, so for their price point, they're all excellent quality. I really don't have anything to complain about these brushes. None of the bristles fell out during the rinsing process or when I was painting, so I have not lost any bristles for these brushes, which is pretty awesome because a lot of times cheap brushes will lose their bristles pretty easily, and that just makes a mess whenever you're painting. But none of these lost their bristles when I unpackaged them or when I was painting with them. All of these brushes are supposedly okay to use with acrylics, watercolors, oils, or gouache, so they're all versatile, and I'll just start talking about my thoughts on each of the sets. So the set that I liked the least was the Weasel hair brush set, and this is for 2 reasons. One is I've realized that I really do prefer synthetic brushes over natural hair brushes. So actually both of the reasons I personally don't like it are personal preference. They have nothing to do with the quality of the brushes, but I'm just gonna tell you what I think anyway. And so I don't really like natural hair brushes just because they're a little bit rougher and they don't come to as fine of a point as synthetic brushes. So to me, I do like brushes to sort of have a snap and to stay in place, and so that's what synthetic brushes offer me as opposed to natural hair brushes. And then the second thing that I was kind of iffy about is the shape of the handle, and I'm pretty sure it would be helpful for a couple of people. It's not uncomfortable to use, but at the same time, I do think that these kinds of handles that are supposed to be more ergonomic for you and they're supposed to help you paint better, they're a little bit gimmicky just because I'm fine with a regular paintbrush. I've never had any problems with just a regular round barrel paintbrush, you know. Since there is that little grip, the brushes do tend to have more volume to them, which isn't a big deal. It's just not my preference. The good thing about these brushes is they hold a heck of a ton of water. All natural hair brushes that I've tried hold a lot more water than synthetic brushes do in general, and so if you are looking for a brush that will hold a lot more water, I think these are the way to go. So my thoughts are, if you see this and you like what it looks like and you do like natural hair brushes and you think that the grip is something you like, I can definitely recommend these for the quality of them. They all have very good quality bristles and I did enjoy using them, just they're not my preference, you know? I do have to say that my favorite brush set that I received was the miniature detail artist brushes, the 7 brushes for $7.89, the ones that have the brown birch wood handles. And the reason I think I like these the most is because in general I've realized I do really like synthetic golden tack-on brushes, and these are, I think, synthetic golden tack-on brushes, even though that's not what it says on the listing. The reason I like these is because they're very soft and they do keep their point, so they do have like a snap to them, and they're not the kind of brushes that really will deform very easily. And so I know just from the way it feels, I've had these kinds of brushes before, and I do really like the quality of them. The thing about these brushes is they don't come to like a sharp point as the third set, the ones with the red handles. These ones are just a round brush and they're very good for keeping one long even line. And in reference to how much water these hold, I would say that out of 2 brush sets, these hold like the most medium amount of water. So the Weasel hair brushes hold the most water, and then I'm going to say that the brushes with the red handles hold the least water. I would say these ones hold a pretty good amount of water, and overall I would 100% buy these for myself. I do really like the quality of these. They are the kind of brushes that I naturally gravitate to a lot. And the last set that I received, which are the miniature detail brushes, the 9 brushes for $8.99, the ones with the red handles, it's kind of confusing because they don't actually have very specific listing names, because they are kind of like a, you know, when you buy a Chinese listing, they'll just have all the keywords in the title and they don't actually have a specific name for that brush. Kind of makes it a little bit annoying, but it's okay. The last set is the one with the red handles, and these do come to a very sharp point. They are good quality, they do what they're supposed to, they work well. Because the brushes are made from nylon, they're a little too stiff, if you know what I'm saying. The round brushes with the birch handles, the bristles are much more flexible, at the same time they do hold their shape. These ones are a little bit more rigid. The nice thing about these is they do come to a very sharp point, and so you can get a pretty wide variety of lines with these, and I do like them for that. So they're very easy to use, they're very comfortable, and the nylon bristles aren't at all something that sets me back in the painting. But just to say that these are not as much of a favorite to me as the brushes were the birch handles. So I kind of wish that the birch handle brushes, those round brushes, they had a set that was a little bit bigger and they did come to a certain point, because then I would think that they're very similar to treacle brushes, which I really like. But yeah, I think they're all good brushes. I could definitely recommend each of them. I do give each of them 5 out of 5, and I will be using these for some more time. I've been using these for about a week, so I wanted to not like do a first impressions. I wanted to try them out a little bit and see how I felt about them before I actually talked about how I feel about them. The wood hasn't cracked on any of them so far, and I was kind of expecting the brushes to fall apart just because they are at a cheaper price point. They're not very expensive at all, and they are, you know, that generic China kind of listing, but I do think they have really good quality. So I would recommend these if you're interested in some pretty inexpensive detail brushes. I'm going to have links in the description for where you can get these brushes, and I also will have a link down in the description for a giveaway for a couple of Transon's art materials. The painting that I'm working on in this video is going to be available in my shop, which is going to be linked down in the description as well, so I really appreciate if you check that out, because I have lots of nice stuff in my shop that you can buy and support me. Okie dokie. Also, the real-time painting process for this painting is going to be up on my Patreon as well. I hope you enjoyed this video and it was a little bit helpful to you, and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye!